And we're live. How's everybody doing? Just spent some time over at the football crowd game. Met some new folks. Had a good time there. Christy was there. Greg was there. Ron was there. Brian was there. Kind of a cool time. Here I am now, firing up a little bit behind the power curve. That's why we call it late night at Scotty's, and that's why it's a ad hoc type of thing, so no one has to feel like something happened untoward. So what I'll do is I'll reach over here, grab a guitar, and normally about a minute, two of them, and there we go. As soon as I touch this thing, people come in. Isn't that amazing? I hope everybody's doing well tonight. I hope everybody's ready to discuss things and topics near and dear to your hearts. Hello there, Miss Laura. How you doing today? Everything going well for you? I hope so. It's Thursday, and today has been a day full of running around. Hello, Lindy. How you doing? Good to see you. How are things down under? Are they pretty cold? Let me take a look. I do happen to have the aviation weather up because y'all know Laura. Well, Laura is going on some travel, and I do believe that she get up at dark 30, so she may not. You're blessed. I'm glad. So she may not be able to get up onto the channel right away. There we go, a little bit more. This is looking at what the weather is like over places people might be flying here in the lower 48. But let's go ahead and see what weather's like over Australia way. Hello. Do what I'm asking you to, not what I told you to. You know, that's how computers are, you know. Oh, come on. There we go. When they do exactly what you tell them to do, that bothers me. Zoom out a little bit. Oh, you're not going to be like that today, are we? Come on. We'll zoom out. Too much. Okay. Too much. All right. Let's just go back-a-doodle. There we go. Back-a-doodle. Cold out there today. Okay. Let's see how cold it really is. Oh, that was Spain we were looking at. Let's go look at Australia. Well, probably could have gone this way quicker, huh? We'll go around the Horn of Africa. There's the Horn of Africa, South Africa. Ooh, lots of weather out off there. And okay, now let's get down. Well, there's a nice little island. What else can we find? There's Antarctica. So that's a little far. And there we are. And there we are. Here we go. And let's go ahead and look at the current weather. And we can go right into here. And what do we have here? So Adelaide International, it's currently winds out of the west, southwest, 11 knots, unrestricted, overcast 24. It's 16 degrees down in Adelaide. You thought that was a whale. Thank you very much. I resemble that remark. No. And let's go see what else we can figure out. Yeah, we can go all around here if we want to. I can look at all sorts of imagery. I can look at satellite. Let's take a look at satellite imagery. We'll take off the radar, and we'll take that off. There we go. And if I go here, currently in Woomera Airfield, temperature outside about 20, so it's not too cold. It's not too cold, is it? Melbourne, I know it's down here. Let's go find Melbourne. We find Melbourne. There it is. So Melbourne looks like it's winds out of the west, about 16 knots, so kind of breezy. You got a light drizzle. You got clouds about 2,200 feet, broken at 20. So it's overcast, pretty much. Not quite overcast, pretty cloudy. And your METAR, so your temperature is 16 degrees. There you go. You can see all that going on right there. And I wonder if we can go back to the backward machine. Oh, the back machine works. Let's go ahead and play it forward. There we go. You can see the clouds moving through. Yeah, more stuff coming your way. Yeah, there you go. Yep, there you go. How's that for you? Cold for you. Now we get to the truth. The truth of the matter is what matters for you. And I understand that. I'm not mad at you. I am trying to get this imagery. We'll take the satellite off for now. There we go. Anyhow, doing the weather for the three of us. Just the three of us. Anyhow, All right. Now, what have we been doing today? How's it been going today? Everybody been happy today, doing healthy, wealthy, and wise today? I'm not sure. I had a very full day today. I started my day, so I've been working out there on the project, doing the fireplace with my neighbor, and we were able to get the fireplace um, tiled in. It's all built in. I don't think I have any great pictures that I can show on my phone, but I'll try to. I'll try to because I'm that kind of host, you know. I'm the host with the most. No, well, let's see what we have here. Oh, that's not me. That's not you. Let's see what we can do. Doot, 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 doot. Um, yeah. So back to the fireplace. You can kind of see it. We still have the ladders up there, but I still have to do the part here. That's where the chimney comes out of the top and gets to the roof. I still have to finish that up a little bit. But the fireplace itself is all tiled in. I should have done a better job with that. I'm really not real happy with that, but it's up there. It's done. But yeah, let's see if I have anything else to kind of show a little less. No, I don't. That's a stinking video. Anyhow, getting that done. And again, so I spent the day, I had to turn in the tile cutter. And after turning in the tile cutter, um, I have a truck that's died on me. So I'm working on the truck. Had to take the battery out. Turns out my battery is dead. Went grocery shopping. Oh, I love them too, Lindy, and that's why I'm getting one. I really wanted one. I wanted one for quite a while, and I finally found it. And I'm building this pavilion out back, and I'm going to make a little. I'm going to make a little video about it. So I'll start from scratch on all the way up. And here, oh yeah, let me do this real quick. Doodly doodly doo, doodly doo. Here we go. And there, in case anybody wants to come in, there. You're on your phone, but I'm a bit fuzzy because I'm a fuzzy wuzzy. Fuzzy wuzzy was a bear, was fuzzy wuzzy fuzzy? I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember that one. I'm sorry, I'm coming in fuzzy. Hey, it's Michael. Good to see you. Good to see you. How you doing? So yeah, the fireplace. I've been working on it, and we have a fire pit, and that was really nice. And our neighbors have fire pits, and that's really nice. And a friend of mine who's a rocket scientist, a real rocket science, Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair, and stubble a little bit. I just choose to shave it because when I grow my hair out, it looks like someone stapled hamsters to my head because of patches. I don't like patches, so I took it off. Hello, Julia from Southwest Nebraska. You know I love me some Nebraska, right, Julia? You know that, right? If you say Southwest Nebraska, are you near Lake McConaughey? I wonder where you are, Julia. We were just looking at weather in Australia, but if I go over to Nebraska, Southwest Nebraska, I could go and look at the weather out in Imperial, right? Hey, Shelly, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, it's pretty windy, about west of 13 gusts at 26, unrestricted visibility, overcast at 1,300 feet. Current temperature at 14 degrees Celsius. And yeah, peak winds, 300 degrees at 26. Lightning distant east and southeast. Yeah, that's quite a bit of weather out there in Nebraska. Yep, closer to Swanson Lake. Okay, all right, I get you. Well, Julie, for a while there, I was a state senator there in Nebraska. So I used to go all the way out to western Nebraska as often as I could. And I do, hey, Shelly, I have a link in the, I have a link. I just posted it. If you want to come on, hit the link. Come on in. We'll share the screen and we'll talk about things that are important. Yeah, we sure will. But yeah. I just so you know, Julia, you probably already do, but I retired out of the Air Force, out of Offutt Air Force Base in near Bellevue, just south of Omaha. And after I retired, did some stuff. I ended up getting elected, did that thing, and then I left office and I came down here to Alabama. Yes, I did, with a banjo, but not on my knee. It's in the closet. I don't know how to play it. That's a terrible thing when you have a banjo and you move to Alabama and you don't know how to play it. But what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? I can barely play the one I have. So what's going on with you, Michael? How you doing? Hey, low carb carnivore. Where have I seen you before? What? Where are we? Are we live hopping now? Is that what we're doing? Are we live hopping? Hey, good to see you, Matthew. Good to see you. Hello, Matthew. Hello, everybody. So we'll go ahead and throw up a few of these chats just so everybody knows that we have it. Oh, and I'm going to do this to you, but I'll put this little Chiron up for a while. We got to smash the likes, let people know we're here. Late night got a late start, but we are here and we can do this. We can do it. You can do it. We need to do it. I need to I need to trim my beard. I normally was trimming my beard a lot smaller, a lot more close shaved, but the guard I put on my clippers, it broke. So I'm kind of in a bad place about what I'm going to do to keep my beard under control. Hey. All right now. Good to see you. Everybody's here. Everybody's making highs and hellos. How are you? Hey, low carb coming in. Here you go, buddy. Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. How about yourself?
Not too bad.
Cool.
Figured I'd stop in and say hi and maybe try to explain what I was trying to explain through text on the other place.
Sure.
It's basically, I'm doing good. I'm feeling okay. It's not like, I don't know. Still got a lot of aches and pains and stuff, and that's mainly why I want to drop down in the weight as fast as I can.
Right.
We got like a lot of my hips sore. My tailbone area is pretty sore, so I want to try to get all that pressure off me. And then with my legs and feet being pretty bad with edema, but I'm doing what I can. But I figured I've heard other health experts say that if you go ahead and add the fiber in, it helps control the insulin and everything better, even if it was just temporarily. Because don't get me wrong, I love eating carnivore, and I feel the best on carnivore. But, the veggies really don't hurt me. And the only veggies I've tried lately is like broccoli, cauliflower, and some cabbage with a little bit of carrots in it for like egg roll in a bowl. But beyond that, I'm 90% meat. So.
Well, so can I ask you a couple of quick questions? Because I too have had some edema issues, and then they say I have bad valves in my veins, right? Because I've had them do an ultrasound to make sure. So, have you had any traumatic injury to your back?
I think so, yeah. Because like when I was really young, somebody, while we were playing wrestling in the yard, they DDT'd me. And I felt like a tingle go all the way down, right to my about L1, T12. And the heavier I've got, the worse that spot has hurt. And whew, man, it's horrible.
Okay, so I went down a flight of stairs once when I was in the military. And I really discombobulated my tailbone. And the military doctors offered me the opportunity to have my tailbone removed, which I declined because there's a very special muscle called the ani levator that connects to the tailbone, right? And that is a important muscle that I didn't want them jimmying around to figure a place to attach it, right? But I went through years and years of some pretty excruciating pain. But anyway, that aside, if your hips are hurting, can I ask you, Chuck, how much of your day do you spend sitting down?
Too much.
Okay,
definitely. Too much.
So I'm going to go and say, are you familiar with the anatomy and physiology of your body? You know what the psoas muscle is?
No.
Go PSOAS, psoas. The psoas muscle is the longest muscle in your body. It goes from your small of your back through your hip girdle down to your leg bone. All right. And when we sit down, so our legs are or bent, right? You obviously not like that, but you sit down. So what happens is that muscle is perennially short, all right? And then when you stand up and everything, that shortened muscle pulls your hip out of alignment and your lower back too. So if you go to the old Google doctor, right, and go to there's Brad and Tom. I want to say Brad and Tom. They're the most famous physical
Yeah,
therapists on the internet, right? It's
seen
kind
a
of
lot
funny
of their
guy.
videos.
And one of the guys is no longer doing it because he has Lou Gehrig's, I believe, disease. But the point is, look for muscles that open your hips. Not muscle. Look for exercises that open your hips and lengthen the psoas. All right, you will get tremendous relief after just a few days of doing those a little bit each day. All right. 2, the edema. You've got two mechanical things you can do to help yourself. One of them is get your ankles above your heart with your legs extended, right? 10, 15 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day. Gravity will bring all that fluid down into your system and back through your lymphatic system I was talking about. And next thing you know, you're going to have to pee like a Russian racehorse, okay?
Yep.
And then, of course, sexy socks, i.e. the compression socks. If you don't like to do those, I don't like them, but I got lots of pairs of them. But you can wrap your legs up a little bit. But you have to remember that the lymphatic system is very delicate. It's not like veins and arteries. And have you ever looked up for what they call lymphatic drainage massage?
Yeah.
So it's really light stuff. You can't do it to yourself very well.
No.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah. So what I suggest, what I do is like I'll put this chair I'm here right here. I've got my rocking chair over there. This chair I can elevate higher, and I can recline back in my chair, put my feet up. I can still do some computer work, right? Or I can do some prayer or whatever, napping. But elevating those feet up, but also walking. Walking will do a lot to naturally massage that lymphatic system and get the liquids and the fluids moving back up. Basically, gravity is causing a lot of pooling. And Limitless Lindy, thank you. Love this. This is what she does. I'll put it up on the screen. She has a vibration plate under her desk.
That's funny you should mention that, Lindy. I just seen one of those the other day on Facebook, and I marked it to try to save up for it because it's like, hey, I'm willing to try anything at this point to get it going.
So if you want to try anything, you really, and also, how much water do you drink a day there, Chuck?
Probably, I don't have my thing with me. Big bottle, probably at least 36 ounces.
Do you drink anything else like coffee?
I drink diet soda.
All right. Well, the diet soda is not helping you.
No, I know.
Okay.
To try to figure out a plan to wean myself off. I tried. I'm sure you guys remember talking to me in chat, but I tried a few weeks ago, and I made it like 3 or 4 days, and then it was just so bad. And even when I was taking caffeine pills to try to calm with the headaches and everything down, it was just like I was feeling so lousy, like I was coming off a hardcore drug or something. So I'm gonna have to pick a day or something and like slowly wean myself down off of it.
Right.
Because it was like I never realized how addicted to that I was, and I thought it was just gonna be like a caffeine thing, but it was something else, like all different. I just felt horrible. And even took me a couple of days of going back on it to start to feel somewhat normal again.
Well, I know it's going to be tough. It's something that you want to do, and it's going to be a tough engagement. But I think if you can do, I mean, literally today, tomorrow, the next day, as you're working out a process, get your ankles above your heart, and don't put a lot of pressure. I highly recommend for everybody to go out to the Google and Google up the lymph system. And you can see where the major thoroughfares of that is. You don't want a lot of pressure points. Unfortunately, sitting on our keister with our legs bent, right, and then our feet completely bent, it really puts a kink in the hose. And
definitely.
And now, are you eating a good amount of? Hey, Dawn, you're eating a good amount of fat in your diet, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So you know
Definitely,
that, okay. So then you know the dietary fats caught up in the small intestine and the villi like a finger outside of a capillaries to get all the nutrients. In the middle is a superhighway called the lacteal, and that's what sucks up fat. It's the only way fat gets in your body. It goes through some magic to get across the wall of your intestines, and it dumps directly into your lymphatic system. If your lymphatic system is not moving, the energy is not moving, and gravity is going to pull it down like sludge into your transmission. That's it.
interesting.
So,
Yeah, like my tailbone, I've bruised my tailbone before, fallen a couple times before.
right,
Like the little donut cushion you sit on to get comfort.
right.
And lately, when my tailbone's been hurting, it feels like that, like when you only feel the pain when you get up from a seated position.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like the lower spot in your tailbone. It's like a little bit above it where it hurts lately. And it just like I've tried standing longer, I've tried walking around more. Just nothing seems to relieve it. I tried that donut cushion again. It didn't do anything, made it hurt worse.
Well, there's another thing that you could take that helped me in my process, and particularly then, and that is I started to do more side planks. You're familiar with a side plank? The reason is I think for those of us who've gotten out of shape and quite frankly have let our midsections become weak, right? Uh, the transverse obliques are your girdle. And most people don't realize this, but your back is supported by the muscles in your gut. So if your back is having problems, and if you have a pain in your back, particularly L4, L5, S1, all that is, that it could be associated with the weak stomach muscles. So doing things, so while you're sitting in your chair, right, you know what a vacuum is? Where you kind of pull your belly button far back as you can, hold it for 5 seconds, let it out slowly, and repeat that every other hour, 5 to 10 repetitions every other hour. The next day you're going to feel it. But what that's going to do is that's going to bring your waist in, and it's going to pull all the visceral fat up. And when that is up, think about it. What do you do for a living, Chuck? Do you mind me asking?
I'm a stay-at-home father for right now.
Okay. What have you been?
I was a auto mechanic for 13 years.
Okay, good.
And then I went from auto mechanic, did photography. Well, I still kind of do the photography and design and everything
Cool.
at home, but I mean, mostly I'm a stay-at-home father nowadays. So,
Well, the reason I like to find people's reference points so I can bring up an analogy that might work. So when you know about weights on a fulcrum, like if you got an arm out there and you put a weight at the end, the longer the arm, the more the impact, right, on the fulcrum. Well, think about it that way. When we get a lot of extra adipose tissue in front of us, right, we're pulling our spinal curve out of whack. You know what I mean? And so we do it more and more, and the back actually gets compressed. We start having compressed discs. And the number one thing you can do is not the muscles in your back like along the spine, the erector spinae. They do fine motor control. It's not going to be your latissimus dorsi, all the wings out here. They're for pulling things, your shoulders. They're for moving the shoulder joint. The muscles for your back, and particularly your lower back, are all abdominal, and they are not your six pack. The six pack just shorten the distance from your sternum to your pelvis, but they do nothing for the strengthening of your back. If you would do things to strengthen your core muscles, like the side planks and using that stinking ball and whatever else like that, you would relieve the pressure on your spine.
I think I'd be afraid to sit on that ball.
I do push-ups. I try to. What I'll do is I'll lean over it, put my arms, and I'll do push-ups. So I'm not doing my whole body weight, but I can still get the range of motion for my shoulders. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But
I know. I definitely get the ab thing and everything because like doing something before a long time ago when I had got down from the first time being heavy in my youth in my 20s when losing weight was like like easy as pie, you know. But back then, you know, I went from like 283 down to 209 and you know, I lost weight and I was feeling great and after I lost all that weight, my back didn't hurt anymore at all.
Right.
You know, my stomach muscles were so strong, but I know a lot of my back pain is from my stomach not being strong because long story short, through a lot of complications with being heavy and diverticulitis, I
Oh,
had to have surgery to remove 20 inches of or 20 millimeters of my intestine. And by that, I ended up getting a surgical hernia, which I still have, which it's probably, you know, probably the size of a grapefruit right now. And I have no medical or no ways to get it fixed. So I'm going to have to be careful of what I do
right.
for that. But, you know, the only thing I can really do right now is walk. So I try to do that sometimes, but
Where's this hernia located?
where my belly button used to be.
Okay, so I had an umbilical hernia myself, and I had it repaired and had to put mesh in the second time. Mine wasn't all that big, but it was weird with that with the area of the tear, the fat underneath would pop out, and I could pop it back in, and it was a real weird feeling,
Yeah.
right? Doctor told me don't do that, but I think that you're right. You do have some problem. But you could probably do a compression type thing for your abdominal area, right? They make compression like please don't be offended by what I say because I'm just trying to be helpful. But like a controlled top pantyhose, right? That would help hold things. Or if you get the big ace bandage that they use for like when you do squats, you know, the big wide bandage,
Mm-hmm.
you could wrap that around. And then I really believe, like I said, you could do some vacuums. And I do believe you could do some things on your side, not full bearing, to do some strengthening of your core muscles. And that will really help your back and it will help with that um, hernia for a bit. And of course, doing what you're doing to lose weight. Now, how you been doing on your weight loss?
Um, at my top weight, hey Todd, at my top weight, I was 444 pounds, and then in the 75 days, because today is day 75. So far, I've lost 24 of those. I'm down to 420. The last time I weighed was October 1st. So, I mean, I'm going somewhere. So some days, like I think I'm just being too impatient with myself. Like, you know, I don't know. I'm seeing everybody else, you know, with all these results, and some days it just seems like, come on, you know, I want to get this weight off me so I can stop feeling so much pain, so I can be more active, so I can, because like one of my goals that I want to reach is I have a bike in my shed that I
Right.
would love to get out and ride, but it's that like kind of like a PB Herman kind of nerd bike, you know, with the springy seats.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to say it, but I'm so heavy right now, the seat bottoms out on the tire. So that ain't happening until I lose at least 100 pounds or more. So
Well,
it's like, you know, I'm kind of stuck in this spot and I'm like, I'm really anxious by it, but I know I ain't quitting. So
now, do you do any resistance training?
I used to.
Can you now?
I'm like I said, because of the hernia, I'm pretty limited to
Well,
what I can
What,
lift.
but what about like, could you do bands sitting down, like alternating dumbbell, alternate curls, particularly like, uh, I would think if you sat there and you compressed your abdominal muscles, so you bring them in, draw them in, right? And you would do two things for your lat, like lat pulls, nice and slow.
Hmm.
That shouldn't put too much intra-abdominal pressure on you. And you can work out because you know your lats are huge muscles and they would burn a lot of weight. I mean, they burn a lot of calories. So if you could engage your lats and the only other muscles I think, I know you said about walking, but maybe you could do walking with a little resistance. So maybe, I don't mean to be silly, but can you add a can of tuna in back pocket and kind of make it look like you got a big can of chaw? I mean, a little backpack, like not like a full one, but the little tiny ones that they do, the camelbacks. Put some water in it, drink the water while you're going, but just to add a little bit of resistance to what you're already doing, that really shouldn't bother your abdominal issue either.
Because well, I know like the things that I can do right now that don't interfere with my hernia is like that. It's always confusing. This door right here, I'll lean up against the door and like do some like incline push-ups off the door.
Yeah.
Well, on my stair, where is it? Right here on my stair that goes down, I'll hang my feet off the edge and kind of do this with my calves, like to flex my calf muscles on it from time to time. But I mean, and then walking, of course, and
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to think of ways to have your body say, I need to consume more energy and I have energy on board. So let me do it. Now, when you say you're low carb and all that, and you're doing other than the soda, do you think there could possibly be something that's sabotaging your body? Like, is there something extra stressful, like raising cortisol or something?
Definitely possible because, like, I don't know who follows my YouTube channel or whatever, but I haven't really been doing videos lately. I've been dealing with a leaky skylight.
Ooh.
And I just had a buddy of mine come out and repair the roof. But here, let me see if I can kind of show you, like right over there, the skylight. You can see above the sink there, there's still a spot where it was all like moldy and musty. But now I got to figure out how to plug up those holes on the inside, because the outside is looking good, but the inside is still needs repaired now that everything's not leaking anymore. So little by little, I've just been busy like crazy with all that mess going on and everything. So I haven't had much time for YouTube or videos or anything. And then the kid's going to school now and his birthday's coming up, and like 400 things are going on at once. So
yeah. So stress is a big cause for cortisol. If your sleep is off, if you're not getting a solid 8 hours of sleep, all those things will cause cortisol to be pronounced over your normal cortisol levels, and that will slow down weight loss because your body's in that fight or flight, and it's saying, I'm not going to give up anything. You can't make me. I'm not going to do it. Big fat nope. So
yeah, my body's pretty stubborn too, because I know like I've been having I don't know, I sleep maybe 5-6 hours a night, and
no bueno.
Sometimes I'm not that. Sometimes I feel fine, and other days I'm like exhausted. But even on the nights I make myself go to bed way earlier, I wake up a couple hours earlier or later, and then I fall back asleep. Every couple hours, it's like I can't stay asleep. So it's like,
well, you did talk about you did talk about caffeine in a diet soda. So I would submit you probably know all this. You sound very up to date on a lot of this stuff, but do some reading on sleep hygiene. If you haven't already done some sleep hygiene reading, I would definitely do that. I would definitely look into some of the videos, I believe, and maybe someone in the comments can help us, or Todd, you can. But I would look at the physiological response your body has to fat. Maybe having a bolus, a large shot of fat before going to bed will help your body chillax, and then you could sleep. You could sleep better, because a solid night of sleep is extraordinarily important. Now, some people are good on 7 hours. Some people need 9 hours. I would submit you're probably a 7 to 8 hour guy, but you just haven't got it for a lot of time. And every time you wake up, your cortisol secreting. It's secreting to get you to be awake, so to speak.
Yeah, so, I am on the CPAP too. So,
well, okay. So that a lot of those things kind of work hand in. It's kind of like, the age old thing. You can't get a job unless you have experience. You can't get experience unless you have a job.
Mm-hmm.
And may I ask, Chuck, and it's okay, whatever your answer is fine to me. Are you a man of faith?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. So,
I have a little thing right there, a little plaque. Not that
okay,
matters, but like
I, I, I I think,
part of my house here, I got the cross up there that says, "For me and my house, we will serve the Lord."
right.
Yeah,
Well, I asked that question because, um, while life can be very challenging at times, and I don't ever want to be a person who denies the challenge the world presents to us, we are encouraged to put our worries at the cross and walk away. And if we're engaged in things, and I know it's hard, there's no easy way, but I would definitely get into my prayer closet, whatever that is for you, and talk to God about these things and get that good night of sleep. Because I think sleep probably the number one thing you could do. Elevation, a little gut exercise, a little resistance exercise, all those things. But getting anxiety under control, or I don't know, maybe control is too strong a word, but dealing with it, is that fair?
yeah,
Dealing with it might pay dividend. It may be time to unplug, like how you're being stressed, but I didn't do my channel. It may be time. How old are you? Say you have a son?
yeah. He's 16. He's gonna be 16 on the 16th.
Wow. So 16-year-old
Yeah,
son is a whole new
that's
different
where all these gray hairs are from. Him.
there's no hair. Gray hair, I got you. Um, but maybe I don't know where you're at, but maybe finding some time for you to um, meditate, and you can do a walking and talking. You can do a lot, but finding what works for you. You like photography, obviously. Do some photography for some fun. Don't get stressed out getting the filters right for the golden hour. Don't worry about trying to catch the subject just perfect, but just go take some picture to take the picture, right? Get your macro lens out. I've got a macro lens and shoot pictures of soap bubbles. It's phenomenal, right? I've done it. I love those pictures, but find something that you can lose track of time in, and give yourself a break, because I think that would help you with your sleep. Fair
Well,
enough.
anything can't hurt. I mean, I'll try anything. That's one
Okay.
question I did have because you seem like a pretty smart guy as far as like all this stuff goes, and I've heard you give a lot of like technical answers, which one of the reasons why I jumped on here to talk to you guys tonight. But do you think that idea that you had that like ace bandage or the wide ones to wrap around my waist, do you think it's possible? Like if I were to lay down for a while long enough to where the hernia sinks in a little bit and have that wrapped around me tight, and then slowly over time strengthen my ab muscles, do you think it's possible to kind of have it push back in me like naturally without surgery, or at least lessen it?
In my situation, my fat that popped out would pop back in when I pushed it. You know what I mean? But the challenge with that is the tear will not repair. It's
Mm-hmm.
not it's not in an area for that I know of. I mean, what God can do is absolutely off the charts. But what we know about book wise would say that it's not going to, generally speaking, naturally repair the tear. Can you put yourself back in?
I used to be. I haven't tried in a long time, and I know the last time I was in the ER for it, they did, but it hurt like crazy. I'm
Right.
not
Because
gonna, go out of my way to try it. But if I sleep on my back or lay down on my back for a while, it does get really soft and it pushes in a lot easier. But as soon as I stand up, it's like boom, right back out and
yeah.
rock out.
So you worked in the automotive business. You look at a tire that has a bulge. You know what I mean? Basically, an aneurysm. This
Mm-hmm.
is what you have to be very careful for, because now you're talking about a very tough tissue that you broke through, right? A very powerful constricting force. and you get this herniated stuff oozed out over, right? That herniated flesh, whatever, has a blood supply. The last thing you want to do is create, you know, too much torsion in there and cause a tear in your hydraulic line, so to speak. You know what I mean? So I would not, and I'm not a doctor, didn't go to medical school. I was a combat lifesaver, but that means nothing. I would not go about the business of pushing the body back into things. Particularly, how long have you had this condition?
Um, a few years.
Yeah, see,
It went from about a marble size when it started to grapefruit, so it's huge.
yeah. So that is not something to trifle with. Your best things you can do, you're doing already, and that would be um, weight loss things. Get your legs up in the air because again, that intra-abdominal pressure that you're talking about. So if you look at the body's kind of segmented, and your diaphragm sits at the top of that segment, right? And then above your diaphragm, you got your lungs and all that stuff. And then below it, your abdominal area. And everything you're doing with your legs and everything you do with your upper body kind of presses on that area, right? And you could make a lot of headway by getting rid of or minimizing your visceral fat. Your visceral fat is different than the adipose fat you have on the outside of the muscles, but in the subcutaneous area. So it's going to be imperative that you, again, if you can walk, brother, I'm sorry, I'd be wearing that walk thing out. I mean, how many steps do you think you can get a day?
Maybe at least 5,000.
Okay.
I have to be careful because even sometimes just going through the grocery store, I guess depending on how fast I moved or if I'm feeling rushed to get in there and out. Like, when we were a kid and you run and then your gut starts hurting, you
Yeah.
get that like ache. I get that if I walk too fast or too long.
So knowing that, and you've seen the comments, everybody said that the hernias don't heal themselves. We get that. I think what you could do, and it would help because when you get to the point where you do have the surgery and all this, I never like going distances. I like increasing the resistance along the way. So if 5,000 steps is pretty much your pseudo max, take it down to 4,000, but add a little resistance by just putting something in your pockets. You know what I mean? I don't like weights on the end of arms because I think that plays havoc on your joints. I like weight close to the body. I have a weighted vest that has sand with 1 pound vest, and I swim with that. I don't go far, but my point is, I would try to say, what can I do? Fairly light, but add a pound or 2 or 3 or 4. That's why I like that Camelback because it sits right in the middle of your spine, and you can walk upright. You can drink the water, right? So you can make your load lighter by drinking the water. But just adding a little water and 4 or 5 pounds, it makes a difference when you do that exercise consistently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Because that's where I'm at too right now. I figure, I'm just trying to change the things that I can change for now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm stuck in that spot where insurances from work won't pay for it because it's a pre-existing condition, which is stupid. And then the state, I make too much to get it help through the state, and we even if we did find a health insurance that would cover it, we're in such tight finances and everything, we can't even afford to even pay for that. So it's like, well, in the meantime, I'll change what I can, try to lose as much weight as I can because I know they're going to want me to lose weight anyway before they move with that. So one thing at a time, I guess.
That is where. Now, what state are you in?
I'm in Minnesota.
Minnesota. All right. Well, I wouldn't. So many hospitals have plans that can help people who are in your situation, but you have to engage them first, right? And there are a lot of great doctors and a lot of great people who really give a large rodent rectum about people. So I do believe that you can perhaps explore some of those things to be able to find out what you can do and not be left out on an island. But getting that hernia repair, as everybody's saying, it needs to happen. And obviously, they're going to have to, when you do it, they're going to have to be mesh involved, and there's a lot of stuff. But you're right, getting the weight down is going to be. I think that would be what an investor would say. Where's your sweat equity? And you can sit to say, this is my sweat equity. I've taken my A1C from A to B. I've taken my triglycerides from A to B. I've taken my weight from A to B. I think that could be helpful in making your case regardless of the way forward.
Yep, definitely. Just change what I can. That's all I can do, right?
Right. That's right. And it goes prayer life. You never, we can never say that God can't do something, right? We have to be able to let God say, I can do it if you'll just get out of my way.
For sure.
You did do it. Actually. How are you guys doing? I'm doing awesome. Hey, I jumped in here because I heard you talking about hernias, and I've never talked about this before, but I'm wondering what I'm in store for because I heard you say that you poke it back in. I got a hernia 9 years ago, and I was too big. They just said there's nothing we can do to you lose a bunch of weight, and they couldn't even tell me how bad it was. But where does it pop out on you? In my navel, I have something that pops out in my navel inside the belly button I can push back in. And then above it for about 4 inches, about like that. If I do like a stomach crunch, it all puffs up about.
Okay. That's not a hernia. What that is pregnant women get that a lot. I have it. And what it is where your rectus abdominis muscles, your six pack are, right? That tissue in between the muscles, it's not tendon, but anyway, that tissue we talked about the other night. Someone put the actual medical term. What happens is as a woman gets pregnant or as we get fat, those muscles thin out and spread out. All right.
I did, but I injured it. So,
right. But even still, though, that tissue that's injured, that it's kind of like almost like what happens to the colon when you diverticulitis. You know what I mean? It just doesn't pop in on its own. You know what I mean?
Right. So
it's stretchy.
Can they put it back together?
If it's torn, they do have ways of doing it, and I think they use mesh because I have one I had to get a mesh implant for my umbilical hernia that kept coming back.
That's what I was wondering. So when I go to I'm hoping that I can lose enough weight that when I get skin surgery, they can fix that, and that's what I'm wondering.
Well, that skin surgery is not a. Thank you, Dawn. Diastasis recti. All right, Dawn coming through for me there.
So, but you're saying that and it probably did get weak, but I mean, I did something incredibly stupid, and I know the exact second that it happened because it was one of the worst pains I ever went through, and I immediately wanted to throw up when I did it. But I was working in our shop, and we had a new shop kid that was down there, and we had a spool of wire delivered, and they set it on its side. And it was aluminum wire, but I wasn't thinking about the footage. And this kid came up and he said, I can't lift it up. And I'm like, oh, you got to stop being a sissy. And then I went down there and I had mouthed off a little too quick because it was actually a huge spool of wire. It was 1,150 pounds, but I was a stocky guy back then. And I did get it flipped up. But right when I had it on my back and I was going this last pressure and I was pushing back, the worst fire went through my abdomen, like the worst thing I ever felt. And I just turned white, covered in sweat. I was ready to throw up. And ever since then, this thing happened. So I think it about that far above my belly button, it's like in between my abs, it's split open and there's something popping out right above there. Plus it ripped like into my navel and something comes out in my belly button there like fat or something.
Yeah, that is a fat thing. That is your insides becoming outsides, basically. That is a tear in that area. My son did the very same thing. He ripped his abdominal muscles apart doing too many sit-ups in basic training. They told him to do sit-ups until he couldn't do them. He didn't do them fast, but he kept doing them, so they got bored of counting. Then they got up, and then he couldn't do it, and they thought he was constipated for a couple of days. Went to the doctor, and ultrasounds and everything don't know he'd literally through the tension and tore it apart, right? Now,
were they able to fix that?
He actually young and everything right there. He didn't carry any extra body fat, so it healed up. Now I'm sure the scar is really gnarly with all the different ways the scar healed, but for us, it's a completely different thing. We have a completely different system. We got a lot of back pressure behind it, right?
Right.
So I'm not going to sit there and say there's going to be a healing or whatever like that. But what I am going to say is losing the weight is the way to go.
So once I get it off, maybe they can put that mesh in there and put it back together.
Oh, I'm sure they can do all sorts of things. Get stitches, some shoelaces, get some stand on top of you, get it like a girdle, bring it back together, put some mesh.
I just want to put it back together because right now I have a hard time doing anything that works core strength right there because it just pushes it out so far.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Todd. I'm in the same boat because mine was my weakness, or the weakness in my gut area was originally from the surgery that got weak. And I'd say about 6-7 months out of the surgery, I was healing, and I thought I was good after that. And I used to stream on Twitch playing video games and whatnot. And I had this program set up with my channel points to do sit-ups or push-ups or something to, get me exercising. And someone cashed in a bunch of push-up tokens. And I was 430 pounds back then. I did 10 push-ups, surprisingly. I was surprised I was able to push all that weight up 10 times. And then I took a break, was doing my next set of 10, and the first one I did, I felt that immense pain, just boom, fell over on the ground. And I was like, sorry, I can't do it no more. I'm hurting. I'm really hurting. And then after that, I noticed right around my belly button, like a little marble, starting to poke through on the inside of where the belly button was.
Yeah, that's where mine is, right? It was smaller, but now it's bigger than my thumb, like about that long and that wide.
Yeah, Todd. So Todd, for you, I would probably say I'd go visit the doc, because if you unzip anymore, it could be bad. Because what's really bad, and what's bad about a lot of hernia, particularly if you get an inguinal hernia, down in the groin area, they have an area that's very weak, and then sometimes what happens is the intestines push out because it can get too much, like doing a heavy squat or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Well, what happens when something comes out, like if it's particularly for us, we're lucky that we're buffered by a lot of adipose tissue. But if your intestines go out and they get pinched on the other side, then you start having you get necrosis going on. You get a lot of really bad problems. So I would definitely go to a doctor and say, tell me what I have. And Chuck, at least if they couldn't fix it, they should be able to diagnose it and do some diagnostics on it. Okay. For both of you, I would get that done sooner rather than later, because you don't want to unzip.
Yeah, well, when I did it, I went to the doctor and I'm like, I think I got a hernia for sure. And she goes, yeah, you do, because she could feel that bump in my navel and pushed on it and everything. She goes, yeah, you got one, but we can't even work on it. You're just too big. I mean, I was 600 pounds at the time, So they're just like, no, we can't work on it. I'm hoping by May, I'm hoping to be right around 300 pounds. So then I'm planning on going in to get it off, all that skin off. But I've just been having questions in my head. That's one thing that's been bothering me, if they can fix that. Because I've heard 2 or 3 different people lost a bunch of weight, had hernias like that. And when they got the skin off, they fixed it. The only thing that was worrying me is it's been so long. Like, it used to hurt like it did for you, Chuck. But after 2 or 3 years, it stopped hurting. Now it's only sensitive in my navel. But
it hurts now is like if I exert myself too much, like walking or running, or like if I lay on it, or like if I smash it into something, or if anything, like me and my son were playing catch outside once, and my hernia is way down here, and my solar plexus is right here. I got hit in the stomach with a football, and I dropped to my knees. It just like, I could not believe it. And it was nowhere near the hernia. So it's like, it's still like if something hits it or if I lay on it wrong or like, put too much pressure on it, then yeah, it could hurt. Even if something hits me on the sides, it's extremely painful, but otherwise it don't hurt a bit.
So I want you all to imagine you all have seen all these videos with people in like a Spider-Man costume, but it's all green, right? So basically a stretchy green suit over the whole body. Okay.
Yeah.
If you just take it from, let's say, the jawline here under the jawline down, you actually have one of those under your skin. It's your fascia. And the fascia, anytime you've taken the silver skin off the back of ribs, how you're getting ribs, you have that same thing all throughout your body. They're actually now starting to count the fascia as being an organ. They think there is some hormonal signaling that originates and is important. That's how they actually call an organ about hormones, its own hormonal communications. So there's a body of people and work that talks about this. Let's say you have a pain in your side right here, right? It may be due to an injury down here, but it's like this. If you take it, you twist here, it may shorten at the other side, right? So your fascia, that's what's been ruptured by this hernia. So anything else that pushes even up here, I mean, right? If you put your finger right now on your belly and you push in your chest and you pull a little bit, you can feel it pulling your finger. So that would definitely be something that caused that area to be good, because you could literally do it from bending over or reaching over and picking something up that's heavy and cause this muscle side to flex, to contract and have an eccentric motion maybe, and then you feel that same pain shoot. So it'd be referenced because of what's happening in the fascia. So got to be careful, guys.
For sure.
Definitely. I mean, at the beginning when it was really small, I mean, if I don't know, either one of you guys could probably relate. Being a man, sometimes you have no time to say, well, somebody else will be able to lift that, or I don't have my kid will shovel, or somebody else can help me out. But sometimes you just got to do shit yourself. You got to shovel, you got to carry that heavy load, you got to do something, and after a while of doing that, it can keep re-injuring it and making it worse and making it worse. Now it's to the point where it's like I'm getting help. My son's old enough to where he can help me shovel. The wife helps out a lot now. And like even just carrying like a gallon or a 5-gallon water jug, for the water machine is something that I can do it, but I try not to do it only if I have to, because I don't want to injure myself any more than it's already is.
Roger that.
I can relate to that. 2 days after I got that hernia, I was in Billings, Montana, and I had to pick up a new track for our 305 Mini X, and I had to wrestle that stupid thing in the back of my truck, and I about threw up on the tailgate. It was miserable. I was going to ask you too. I heard you. I didn't hear all your story, but you were saying that you drink diet soda, but you're not having a bunch of. You feel like you're losing weight slow?
According to the scale, I mean, 75 days ago. Well, I mean, I don't know what I was 75 days ago, but when I weighed myself at the start of this, when I started, I was, I think, 423 pounds. And when I weighed myself October 1st, I was 420 pounds. And my highest that I remember being was 444 pounds. So, I mean, I'm down 24 pounds.
Right. So,
and I mean, I feel a lot better than I did feel on the standard American diet. I still just got a lot of aches and pains, but I think that's from all the weight that I'm carrying in my body, just like tired.
Right. And are you like, are you doing full carnivore or?
I'd say about 90% carnivore. Yeah. Once in a while, I'll have like a little bit of cauliflower in some eggs or something. Or like I was telling Scott, sometimes I'll make egg roll in a bowl and I'll use like the cabbage mix.
Gotcha. What kind of diet soda are you drinking?
sometimes the diet mountain or the zero sugar stuff or the diet. It's
Yeah,
all
see,
about the same, roughly.
I fought that for, let's see, probably 5 years solid. I was on those diet sodas. And the problem with them is they have aspartame in them. And aspartame is so convincing to your brain that when you drink it, your body still produces insulin, even though you didn't actually spike your blood sugar. Your pancreas still puts out insulin because it thinks you did. And so that's going to continue when you have, it's going to continue your insulin resistance. And man, you have such a hard time burning and processing body fat when your insulin is spiked. So man, I was so addicted to soda, it was ridiculous. And
I'm so addicted to it because like I got like I think 3 or 4 days in, and I was starting to get like the really bad massive headaches.
yep,
And I took a caffeine pill and it went away for a few hours. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll be able to float through this. And I was drinking a ton of water. And then later on in the day, I was like, okay, well, I'm just trying to get off the zero sugar pop. So I'm not necessarily the caffeine. So I grabbed a cup of coffee and drank that, and it subsided the next day. The caffeine pill didn't work to take away my headache. The coffee didn't work to take away my headache. And I was just feeling like I don't know, like I was coming off of some hard narcotic or something.
right. It's miserable.
I came to the conclusion, okay, I'll have to put a plan in place and slowly wean myself off of it instead
I got
of
a trick for you.
because I can't
I got
do
a
it
trick.
like that.
I got a trick for you that I really think, I don't know why it works so well. What I can tell you is I was one of the worst soda addicts I've ever seen. I mean, all my weight came on. I don't know if you know my story at all, but I was over 700 pounds, and I was 600 pounds when I was 14. That was all mainly from soda. And I was so addicted to it when I was a kid. I was drinking 24 to 36 cans of soda like daily. It was
I was
terrible.
at least about 2 liter to a 2.5 liters a day
Yeah,
myself.
right. And it's
So I drink a regular sugar pop.
it's super addictive. And my mom's been addicted to diet soda for 35 years now, and I've watched her try to quit over the last 8 years. I finally got free from it 9 months ago, and I have no soda cravings. I haven't drank anything but water in 9 months, and I don't miss anything. I don't have any cravings. I haven't had any caffeine. And how I did it was, have you seen that? I think it's a Coke product called Bubbly. It's sparkling water and it's kind of in the green cans and stuff. So the green Bubbly is just, it's a little bit of lemon oil, zero carbs, zero sugar, no fake artificial sugar or anything. I would take 4 cans of that. I'd get a gallon pitcher, fill it halfway up with ice, put 4 of those cans of that lime bubbly in it. And then I don't know where you can find it where you're at, but where I'm at, a store called Rosaro's has it, or you can get it on Amazon, but it's called Organic Volcanic Lemon Juice. And I would take 10 ounces of that and add it to those 4 cans. And then I get this Dr. Berg's electrolyte powder, and it's got a little bit of liquid stevia in it, but it does not spike your insulin. And I do 4 scoops of this, and for whatever reason, that combined with carnivore completely eliminated all my soda cravings. It's completely gone. And then I tried it again for my mom. This is her 8th week. She no longer craves soda either, and that's the first time in 35 years. And so the electrolytes, so why I think it worked for me, it took me 5 weeks of drinking that drink every day. And why it worked for me was, 1, you get to still participate in the ritual of getting a soda when you want it. 2, it's carbonated, but 3, that lemon juice and that bubbly, you get the throat burn. I don't know about you, but I like soda for the throat burn when you take it.
Feeling.
Yeah, I love that feeling, and I used to always love that. And whatever happened, it got easier and easier and easier every day. And after 5 weeks, I was craving water, and I was kind of sick of the lemonade I'd made out of that, the sparkling lemonade. And the electrolytes are a huge portion of that too. Okay, but after 5 weeks, I was craving water, and I just went drink. Yep, I have the keto, have those ones too. I haven't really used those much, so they probably work. I don't honestly know. I
want to switch to the daily minerals because those doesn't seem like it's enough for me. I
Well,
can do squirts in my coffee, and it just, I don't know, I don't feel like anything.
yeah, I do 4 full scoops of this, and the reason why I do is because it has 1,000 milligrams of potassium for every scoop, and I believe that every adult needs 4,700 milligrams of potassium. I have good well water where I'm at, so I figure between that and my food, I'm getting another 700 milligrams. So I do 4 scoops of this. Still, I do 4 scoops every day with my gallon water jug here. And since I started doing that religiously on the electrolytes, it removed all my carb cravings. It was just gone. I had been doing this. I'd taken 2 runs at keto before that were both over a year long. I could never get over the carb cravings. When I added this and got rid of even lettuce, went full carnivore. In fact, I went BBB&E, so I just was doing beef, bacon, eggs, and butter. That freed me from every carb craving I've ever had, and now I don't have a single one ever. You know?
Me and my wife picked up from Sam's Club the other day. We picked up this other kind of, it's like sparkling water, but it's like flavored with supposedly it's real fruit juice in it, or not like squeezed with like lemon or lime, like in
Right.
the carbonated water.
Yeah.
It don't taste as like Alka Seltzer like
Yeah.
bubbly or the Waterloo or whatever those ones do, because that's like I've tried like the carbonated water before, and
Right.
especially if they're flavored, they just taste so disgusting because like they taste like, you know, like if you ever had Alka Seltzer.
Yeah.
That,
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with you. So I tried the Pellegrino. I tried the other one, what is it? Perrier. I tried the LaCroix. I tried all of those, and to me they were disgusting. I went with that bubbly because it's the best sparkling water I've ever
Is it
tasted.
bubbly or bubbly?
Yeah, the bubbly or bubbly.
I think it's bubbly. I don't know. I think it's a Pepsi or Coke product, but I actually put this up on the Steak and Butter Gang because people were asking that we're addicted to soda, but I don't know why, but I'm dead convinced of it because it freed me and my mom both, and my mom was a way harder sell on it than me, and she's been completely freed from it. But all those, what's that?
Type it into the comments so everybody can do a screen capture or get a hold of it. So it'd be up for posterity's purposes. And
Yeah, for sure.
people, because I think soda.
Lemon juice too, or where do you get that stuff from?
Yeah, like I said, it's on the shelf at a grocery store. It's the only grocery store in my town, but I'm in a small town. I'm in Bozeman, Montana. So, but it's in Rosario's. But otherwise, you can get it on Amazon. Before I found it in Rosario's, I was getting it on Amazon.
If you put the type of spelling and all that stuff,
Yeah.
people can go to the Google and we can all find it. But I think soda has been a big part of everybody's journey.
Yeah, that's my last vice. I quit smoking. I quit drinking years ago. I quit drugs even further back than that. I mean, that's my last vice is the soda.
Well, Todd just has to get rid of that chew and he'll be good to go.
Did I tell you? I'm down.
did.
So I have 1 3/4 cans left, and when these are gone, I'm done. Promise you.
I know you will. I know you will.
Because it was funny. I didn't even really tell you, but when you brought that up that night, just that morning, I was on Amazon and I bought teeth whitening strips. And when I hit buy, something, I think it was in my spirit, something told me, you're going to quit chewing now because you're not going to whiten your teeth and then keep staining them and keep putting this chemical in there to whiten your teeth. You're not going to do that. So it was like a knowing. I was like, I think this means, because I bought those whitening strips, I was like, I think this means I'm quitting chewing now. Like it just dawned on me, like naturally that happened. And then that night you said that, and I'm like, oh, it's got to be time.
Well, I just think that I know that I had a bad soda problem, and I probably drank like you did. I would drink as many cans. Not a problem for me to drink a 12-pack of soda in a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
To drink the 2-liter bottles, I love all the fake sugars except the ones that make you go potty.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, again, saccharin is my one sweet, and I'm gonna stay to that until I can't get any better. It keeps me from everything else. So I go, okay, I pick my battles. But I haven't had much soda at all. And then about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I had a Diet Pepsi. I like the Pepsi or Coke Zeros because they're the sweetest.
Yeah.
I had some of it and I literally spit it out and didn't drink anymore because it was just way too sweet for me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say I'm over my soda desires, but I'm not feeding them anymore and I haven't for a couple of weeks. It hasn't been like a craving. So I'm very careful to do some Jedi mind tricks to not tell myself to not do something. Instead, I'm saying I'm choosing right now to not participate. That way, I don't get my head all. But I want it. I gotta have it. Oh no! I don't want that. I don't want that happening. So I tell myself, if I want it, I'll have it.
Right.
I don't want it.
Yeah. And, for me, I think I was just so metabolically sick. This is why it resonated with me. When I was doing those diet sodas, man, I was on the most restrictive diet for like 24 months and I only lost like 44 pounds over 24 months total. I could not get it to happen. But life just changed. I've been averaging between 22 and 33 pounds a month now since I got off all the soda, the diet soda that I was on. It made the difference because when you're like us and you're metabolically sick and you're super insulin resistant, it slows your body's ability so badly to burn fat as fuel that it's like just always an uphill battle, right? You're just not efficient at burning stored body fat. You can't even get to it. And so, because that insulin is just such a massive blocker to burning fat, it wants to burn carbohydrates as fuel so bad it doesn't go to your stored fat cells. So, I mean, for years of doing these stupid calorie restrictive diets and doing diet soda, I could never get it to work. Finally, I mean, just in 9 months, I went from at least 715 pounds down to 468 that I'm at right now. I mean, that stuff just melted off, and it was
I
getting
think
off that.
I think there must be some what is it synergistic effect of the items in soda. So I'm not going to just say the sugar or the sweetener, right? But I
Yeah.
mean the whole gamut of what's in soda. There has got to be some type of interaction that is providing a false signal to one of our um, metabolic pathways that's blocking or somehow or another saying don't burn the stored fat. I don't know what it is. It just seems to me if the one thing we change is soda, regardless of even the sweetener, right?
Yeah.
That somehow or another there's something in there that is telling the leptin or the ghrelin or the boobly boobly booblin, I don't know what it is, but something that creates that because when that is removed, yet like even for myself, I still use the sweetener and in my coffee, but I'm still having great results, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of something in the effect of carbonation and of the sweetener and a dysregulation we have with our metabolic syndrome that we have that is exacerbating something, blocking something. Maybe there's a feedback loop that we don't know about because the body has all sorts of feedback loops,
Yeah.
and somehow because there are just too many common threads to I stopped soda and I started seeing real results.
Totally. Totally. And it happened so much. And I mean, to all my family, my whole family was soda addicts. And I just was thinking about it too. My sister did this and she finally got off the soda too. So there's something in soda. I don't know what it does metabolically. I really think part of what it does, I don't think your mitochondria can heal as well. And I think it has to do with how soda and those really bad sweeteners screw up your stomach microbiome that you can't process enough nutrients. And then if you can't process the nutrients, I think I used to think that everything that the catalyst to everything was insulin resistance. And now I'm starting, there's a lot of papers coming out that the catalyst to insulin resistance is actually a precursor of mitochondrial breakdown. So
And what do I say helps mitochondria function?
that
C18,
I don't know what that is.
long chain fatty acid, stearic acid. So stearic acid, if you go and get to your Googler and type up stearic acid, STEARIC acid, C18, and mitochondrial function, there's a tremendous amount of work being done now. You'll find stearic acid in beef, butter, lard, right?
Right.
And of all things, cocoa butter. The highest concentration of it is in cocoa butter. And there are no oxalates in cocoa butter. The
So
oxalates
like
are in chocolate.
when you say cocoa butter, okay, so it is chocolate, right? Cocoa butter is chocolate. No?
Cocoa butter is the fat of the cocoa plant.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
when you split them out, if you bifurcate it, and you take the powdered chocolate and no fat, it's what they make white chocolate with when they add sugar and everything to it.
Yeah.
I shave it and I put it in my coffee. It smells heavenly. It tastes beautiful, and it's pure fat.
Well, that's why I'm asking that question. So my brother has some serious metabolic diseases, and I believe he's got a pretty sick mitochondria. And it's crazy because the one thing that he craves, it has nothing to do with sugar. He'll eat it raw, but he craves chocolate, and he says chocolate makes him feel so much better.
So I'll show you a picture. I'll try to get a link for it here in a minute. I'll try to go find it on my Amazon. Matter of fact, I know I can find it on my Amazon. But here's the dealio: is I buy it off of Amazon. It's organic. It's 100% cocoa butter. And what the studies show is that within 3 hours of eating, there's actually a direct sensing capability in the cells for stearic acid. And you're in about 3 hours after ingestion, your mitochondrial function just goes off the chart better.
I gotcha.
I think it's one of the reasons why the people like chocolate. It's not the sugar hits first, but that you came for the sugar, but you stayed for the stearic acid. And when we eat a lot of butter and we eat a lot of beef, we're getting more and more of this. So it isn't the global high-end beef and butter, but what are the subcomponents of those things that are causing the mitochondrial function? It's the stearic acid. It's so prevalent now that they're actually starting to write about it and use it as a macronutrient treatment for Parkinson's disease and many neurological dysfunctions. This stuff is the real deal.
Yeah, well, I believe that because
medically done.
Yeah, when I started researching carnivore and what was wrong with me, I really, really, truly believe that it's insulin resistance, right? Because I was so big since the time I was born, right? And I had this huge weight problem. And my brothers, the older, so I'm the last of 6 kids. My oldest brothers were skinny, right? And then more kids mom had, the bigger they got, right? And so when I was researching that, right now there's an epidemic of obese 6-month-old babies. And what they found was that insulin is, they suspected that maybe the mother was spiking her own insulin and passing it on to the infant. But they found that insulin does not go through the umbilical cord to the baby. But what they did find was that glucose does. And so they found that in these infant fetuses in the womb, we're getting hit with a massive spike of glucose from the mother. And then the infant's pancreas was putting out a massive dose of insulin, and those babies were becoming insulin resistant in the womb. So by the time they were born, they would already be struggling with insulin resistance. And that's what struck a nerve with me, because I was like, that makes sense, right? Because if you followed my mother and how she ate,
soda.
Yeah, soda. Yep, exactly. She wasn't on soda when she was having my oldest brothers, but as she started getting on soda, these things happened. And so I was all on the insulin resistant bandwagon, and then I was reading a bunch of studies, and they're saying that actually they thought insulin resistance was one of the main things that was breaking down the mitochondria, but now they're finding that mitochondrial breakdown is one of the biggest things that's causing insulin resistance, actually.
So you see, I threw up that article there.
Yep.
PubMed, dietary stearic acid regulates mitochondria in vivo. That means in your body, in
Right.
humans, right?
Yep.
There's a great one to read. It has great information and more about regulation of mitochondrial morphology, all these things. But I love this, how they do it.
Can you grab that link and throw it in the chat so I can copy it?
Consider it done, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
So that what was that? There's actual like cocoa butter that's not like lotion or toxic or whatever.
Yeah, let me go find it for you real quick. Let me see if I can type, okay?
That's one thing. I like the caffeine part of the coffee, but I hate the bitter taste of the coffee.
Right?
I can't get past it. I just can't.
You know what's crazy?
If I could find something to mask that bitterness, I would definitely. I know it's exchanging one evil for another, but I would gladly give up the pop for the coffee. I know the coffee is better than the soda.
Try that lemon juice, and then also if the lemon's a little too bitter, they also make the same volcanic lime juice though, and then you can add 4 ounces of lime juice, and it'll take the acidity and bitterness, tartness out of the lemon juice. And I actually like that better. And I know that you're going to be drinking a bunch of carbohydrates, even on the carnivore diet, but for whatever reason, if you follow what these guys are doing with the continuous glucose monitors, when they test individual foods, there are certain things that have a lot of carbohydrates in them, but don't have a giant insulin response. Because, like, let's say blueberries, because they have so much antioxidants in them, for whatever reason, it slows the absorption of carbohydrates or into the bloodstream. And so they don't turn to glucose so quick. So
Fiber does that too.
What's that does?
Fiber will slow down the.
Yeah.
So when you look up the glycemic,
about the fiber for, because like long story short, when I first found this ketogenic lifestyle, I was doing keto, kind of loosely, not even clean keto, really dirty keto, off and on for probably about 6-7 months, and I went from 430 to 376, and I was drinking this diet soda like water, like normal. And I lost weight. And now that maybe I'm focusing on it too much, but now that I'm carnivore and I've been strictly carnivore, it just doesn't seem like nothing's happening sometimes. But I don't know. I could be.
Well, how much are you eating too? Well, what are you eating?
It's at times it seems like I'm not eating enough, and other times it seems like I'm overeating. Like, say, for instance, in the morning, I'll have a 5-egg omelet with 4 sausage patties. They're clean, of course, and a couple of pieces of clean cheese, and just maybe a tablespoon or 2 of cream cheese, just to give it flavor. And that's it for that. So most of the time, I'm not hungry after that, and I can make it till dinner, which is like ground beef, hamburger patties, or a steak, or something to the effect of that. But if I do get hungry in between, it's usually like a couple of bratwurst or like bacon or something like that in between the meals.
I got to tell you, I really had to get rid of all the dairy for me, and I don't know if that's for everybody.
I tried it last month. I tried it all month to get rid of the dairy, and no change whatsoever. I didn't feel any different. I didn't lose anymore.
I don't know that I have any of the exact answers for you, but I'll just tell you what I did before things clicked, right? So when I did keto, had mixed results, and I did lose 50 pounds here, and then was on dirty keto. Basically I got into the processed keto bullcrap foods like the fat bombs and keto protein bars and all this crap. And so I failed keto twice because I was still hopelessly addicted to carbs. And so it was still it was still a willpower thing, right? I had to force myself to stay on that diet, and that never works for me when I have to do a willpower. And I was being hungry, right? Because I wasn't getting satiated. So when I started, I decided that I was doing too dirty keto, and so I started real strict keto. This was September 28th of 2022, and I bought one of those blood meters that tests your ketones from your blood, and that blood meter wanted me to be somewhere. I don't know what it was measuring exactly, but it wanted me to be between or 1.0 and 5.0. And when I was doing, and I don't know what this meter was, but that was the range that it wanted you to be in. It was a special little ketone monitor, and it was however it was reading it, it wanted you to be in this range. The reason why I emphasize that was because when I say those numbers, it means nothing to nobody else. They're like, that's not a normal ketone reading. But anyhow, when I was on ketovore, I call it because it was carnivore plus cruciferous vegetables, um, olives, and olive oil and avocado oil. That's what it was. I was making taco salads and I was using seasonings, right? And I was using cheese and sour cream. I was making taco salads and I did this for a month and I was kept testing my ketones and it was at 0.08, right? I was just under 1 full point, which was the very bottom end of being in ketosis according to this meter. So I just started eliminating things. And the first thing I suspected was the cheese because everybody said that that was a stalling food. And so I started taking out the cheese and the sour cream. And at first, I was such an addict. That was the only thing left that was good in my diet at the time. So I cut them in half and then I cut them in half again. And then I eliminated them. And when I eliminated them, I needed a texture change. So I added boiled eggs to that salad and I was chopping those up and I was eating boiled eggs. I got to 1.2 on that meter and was just tiny bit into ketosis. And then I had to take out the olives and then I had to take out the taco seasoning to the meat. And pretty soon I was down to eggs, meat, and lettuce. And I was like, I don't particularly like lettuce. So I chucked the lettuce. Right then is when I started that lemon drink with the bubbly. I did that for 5 weeks. And by this time, through all this elimination, I was coming up on January 1st. The last thing that I was eating that wasn't full carnivore was black pepper. I tossed the black pepper. I got off the lemon juice because I finally didn't need it anymore. I wasn't craving soda. I went straight to water. And it was at that point that I went into the fours in ketones, and the reading is at the top of the chart now. And I started burning weight like crazy. So
So let me jump in on that, okay? And that's a great. I think what you said was spot on and very informative. I think a critical aspect of what you said, because it was your life, it probably maybe you can gloss over it, you can go by it quickly, and that is you went through a process of elimination. Sometimes we get so, and Chuck, I think you probably would agree with this, we get so anxious to get a result, so we go into it really hard. And I think we maybe lose the opportunity to say, how many variables are we tossing out? And so what really was the thing that made the biggest impact? And maybe, what getting rid of 1 and 2 and 3 gave you some, but when you got rid of 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's not a linear progression. It was an exponential one, because pepper is a pepperine, and a pepperine can cause leaky gut. So that's what they say. So the idea being is when you go to, having an understanding of why you're doing something, so you can figure out maybe what you're expecting, right? In that healing. I think the carbonation. I mean, I used to drink a lot of carbonated drink. I get really bloated, right? So that can't be good for the overall. Also, I am not a big proponent, and I studied and I read, and if you can tell, I like to do that. This whole idea of, am I acidic or am I alkaline? Your body knows how to maintain it very tightly. But when you eat things that cause an inordinate shift, or your body to have to compensate for that, right? I think that turns epigenetically, it turns down some of what your body would otherwise normally do. So by eliminating the pepper, lemon is very acidic. If you eat something acidic, your body has to neutralize it, so it creates an alkaline condition in your stomach. Under a continuous alkaline acidic seesaw battle, then the rest of it, remember, all that stuff goes from your stomach where? Into the duodenum, from the duodenum into the small intestines, and it changes things and washes through. You know how when you drop food coloring into water, that's what's happening from your biliary salts coming out of your gallbladder, right? And so, and then people taking antacids for years. Have you ever had to do that, Chuck?
A little bit.
Okay.
Since I've been doing the not even just carnivore, but even keto, I haven't had a problem with acid reflux.
So good. And that's actually because people will weaken their bile salts, right? Because your bile goes in, gets mixed up, all the emulsification, all the enzymatic things happen. It turns into what they call chyme in your small intestines. The chyme runs through, does its thing, then it goes boom into the ascending colon, then it goes across the transversal colon, descending colon, and out, right? Well, all that time in the colon, different things are getting absorbed at different places. And in the last area of the colon, you're getting all your biliary salts back, right? But if you've weakened them, it's like adding too much water to your battery. Well, then you start having problems with your digestion. A lot of time people get acid reflux because they've made the acid so weak. The valve that shuts your esophagus off from your stomach is actuated by a chemical trigger from the acidity in your stomach. When you wash the acidity down too much, what happens is it allows the acid to go up into the stomach, up into the esophagus, and it won't shut because it's not strong enough, right?
Right. Yeah,
and so then you end up with that Barrett's esophagus, where the stomach lining is actually growing up into the esophagus because you took too much antacid instead of saying to stop eating what aggravates you for a while and let your body heal. My sister is dealing with that now, right? So it's just this idea that there's a lot of things, and if you take the time to eliminate one thing at a time, Chuck, do like Todd said, go from full to half to half to half to eventually you're done, and then you know what happens? You just forget about it. You just forget about it, and you go, "Oh, I made a day without it. I don't need it now." But that headache thing, that caffeine. Now, someone help me out. We got a great group of people in the comment section too, and I'm sorry I bloviate here, but how long is a caffeine hangover going to last? I think 3 days.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, it only lasted about 3 to 5 days, I would say.
Okay. So I really do think that if you were to do the halving and wean yourself, Chuck, along with all the other stuff we've been chitty-chatting about, it would be real interesting to hear. Hopefully you'll check back in next week. Maybe you can start incorporating a little bit of this sooner rather than later. And it'd be really good because you would be a tremendous case study for the hundreds and hundreds of people who are going to come into this community because of things going on with the carnivore movie, with the growth of this. You are not the first nor the last person who's going to say this whole thing with the soda battle. And it would be awesome to champion you in this process as you chronicle it.
Yeah, and I got to throw this on there. I joined the Steak and Butter Gang about a month and a half or 2 months ago. And since I've been in there, I don't know if you know what that is, but that's Bella, the Steak and Butter gal, and she's got a group where people join up, and it's a small fee every month. But everybody joins up, and they have a bunch of coaches, and everybody joins these Zoom calls several times a week. But you would be surprised how one of the biggest common denominators of all the people, and they get hundreds of people in those Zoom calls, is soda addiction. And I can tell you for a fact, I've had a terrible gambling problem when I was young and was hooked terribly to gambling. And they say that that's like one of, like in the top 3 addictions on the planet as far as severity goes. And I had, I smoked and was addicted to cigarettes and stuff. And those two were way easier to quit than soda. I can tell you that with a matter of fact in my life, the soda was way worse. So whatever happened there with that magic, uh, combination of eliminating and getting down to BBB and E, and then using that lemon juice, and I really think I think a lot of it was by having that lemon juice, I still got to uh, go through the process of the habit, right? I still got to get up and have a drink that was very similar at the times that I would. And I just replaced it, and that eased it down. And it was similar enough to soda, and it was something I like to drink. People say, well, just use sparkling water. Well, I hated it. I hated there was no uh there was no satisfaction there, so it just didn't
You
work.
got to find though what works for your palate, and so that may not work for your palate, but find one. There's something out there that will get you there.
Yeah, and so I think if you do that, and then one people, I don't know, I think it's Ken Berry or maybe it was Dr. Berg, but they said one thing you can do is take sparkling water, right, and take your soda, whichever one you're drinking, and at first just dump
Got
like
it.
2 ounces out,
Yeah,
and
that
then
was
fill
Dr.
it with,
Berry.
yeah, and then just slowly wean off of it. I didn't do that. I did the lemon thing, but that sounds like it might be another thing. But I really think the thing was having the process of the habit, still indulging in that process was kind of calming
The
and it
crap.
allowed me to do it. Yeah. And then these electrolytes, I totally underestimated electrolytes. These are the things that really curbed all my carb cravings. It was a miracle for me. When I started getting the right electrolytes and I was fully had all total balanced electrolytes, it was a game changer for me. And now these things I can feel within, if I don't take these for a day and a half, I know it immediately. I know the feeling now, and I get energy out of these things when I take them now, and it just makes everything better. If I don't take these, I start getting cravings.
Well, think about it, Todd. Just use your engineering background. How good is an electrolytic system without electrolytes?
Yeah, without conductors, right?
Right.
Exactly,
And
right.
so
We can have the nerves, which are the conduits, but we don't have the conductors. There's no conductive property, so that you basically have resistance in the circuit, and so you are basically running down the electrical signal because it has so much impedance and resistance. It's just not going to happen.
so I think this is great. So hey, Chuck, you want to get a word in edgewise? Otherwise, Todd and I will roll
Sorry.
over.
I was just thinking here, because like I have kind of a theory, and I've tossed this back and forth with my wife, and she kind of agrees with me. But I have a theory that it necessarily wasn't necessarily the keto versus the carnivore. You know why I lost all that weight before? Because like when I was doing the keto, even like dirty keto, I really wasn't like focusing on it as much, or like obsessing over it. I think I'm kind of obsessing over the carnivore thing, but I wasn't like every day. It wasn't like I wasn't thinking about it all day long, and I wasn't watching the scale. And it was like I was just kind of casually, we're just doing meals, not even 100% of the time. Just like I'd say 4 days out of 5 days we do keto, and we're not even fully like stable. And then one day I happened to go into her work with her because she works at a nursing home as a chef. And she was like, "Hey, let's jump on the scale here and let's see if you lost anything." And they had a wheelchair scale, and I'm like, "All right, for kicks and giggles, why not?" So I jumped on there, and she was like, "Whoa, you're down to 376." And like I said, I was 3-4 or 430 before that. And I was like, "Oh, what?" And I didn't even feel like I was losing weight, and I didn't even like think that I was losing weight. I was like shocked. I was flabbergasted, and like I was like excited and like, holy crap. And I'm thinking like, okay, it's only been 75 days on carnivore, and I've went 76 days on carnivore before, but I messed up, fell off, gained, and went back and forth a whole bunch of times. But like this time, it's like I know I'm not going to fall back or cheat anymore and do this. Like maybe I'm just focusing too hard on it, and I'm not giving my body enough time to respond to it.
Can I ask you something right there? Why do you say you're not going to fall off this time?
this time, like, well, I got all new teeth. I had 10 teeth on the bottom pulled. While I was having that the teeth pulled, I was like, think it was July 19th that I had my teeth pulled. For I think 3 days after I had my teeth pulled, I went back to the standard American diet so I can eat soft stuff to get through the healing period. And I got so constipated during that period of time, and I felt so sick. I had to go into the ER to get help pushing everything through. And after that, I know for a fact that I would rather starve or fast or whatever you want to call it. I would rather eat nothing than go back to eating that way of eating. I just a switch flipped in my brain. I know I'm just like, that's it. That was the last straw. I'm done. I will never go back to it. There's nothing is worth feeling that horrible. Like it was. I mean, it was so bad. I've having diverticulitis and having 20 millimeters on my intestine removed from being constipated and everything in my past several times. This last time was the worst time I've ever been constipated in my life. And that was just like, no, I'm done. I know I will never go back. So that's like I've said in chat a few times, even if I never lose weight off this again, I will never go back to the standard American diet ever.
There you go. And I think if you do incorporate the things that Todd was talking about and other people have done, and keep a really good. Now I use my phone for everything because everybody carries it. It's ubiquitous, and it has some great. You can use your calendar. You can use your notes. I like to use Google Calendar. That way, every time I get a new phone, everything goes over. But I really think that if you were to chronicle. And also, what most people don't do with a food journal, and I think they should, try to capture your emotional state at each meal, each thing. So, again, I don't want to be TMI or gross anybody out, but part of our whole life is not only what we eat, but what we eliminate, right? And how we eliminate. I came up with a numerical, no, actually, there is already a numerical system for qualifying and categorizing each of your movements, right? There's something very simple that you can keep track of, right?
The one I use, you can't see it. It's the days counter.
Okay.
It tracks your days and tells you the start date of when you started and everything. So
right.
Technically, this last run since that the straw that broke the constipated camel's back was July 29th of this year. So there's no turning back after this.
Mine was July 20th. So, but come up with a way to also to capture your mental state, because I'm an emotional eater.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
That was actually a huge one for me. As this is going to sound crazy, but I had to start writing myself notes about how I was feeling on good days, because the depression and anxiety were so bad that when I was having bad days, I couldn't even remember feeling good anymore. And so it was like I was a different person. The anxiety was so bad. I couldn't, like on the good days, I'd be like, I'm never going back. This is the greatest thing ever. It feels so good. Then I would have this cortisol attack or something. And it was so bad and so realistic. It was like some sort of almost being like in another state of mind, or it was like sorcery or something.
A bad trip.
Real bad. And it was very real. And I'd sit there and I go, I know that I said that I felt good, but now everything seems hopeless today. It seems like it's not worth it. It seems like it's just not going to work, and this is not sustainable. It's not going to happen. I'd have to read my notes I wrote to myself, and I would write down when I was having a really good day and I was feeling good and the depression was gone, the anxiety was gone. I had to write down and go, I know what you're thinking right now, but the depression is gone. You're completely happy today. You are not full of anxiety. You're not worried about anything. This is definitely doable. And what you're going through right now it'll pass. This is just a temporary thing. It's just hormones right now. I had to do that for like 4 weeks before I got through that, before it was all gone and lifted, and I stopped having those little episodes. And I still don't know what they were, but it was like I was two different people in those two different states. It was crazy.
Well, you can think about it. I mean, I hope the ladies won't find me offensive, but women have a hormonal demand on their bodies throughout their life that we will never understand. And our society is replete with little colloquial sayings and all these other about how hormones can drive a lot of things, positive and negative, right? It is it is not too much of a stretch of the imagination to say when we are reprogramming our dietary behaviors, it's like building a plane while you're flying it, right?
Right.
And so here you are trying to navigate and negotiate things that you didn't do well before when you weren't flying. And now you're flying at the seat of your pants into hairpin turns, like that dream you have when you're trying to avoid the power lines and all that stuff. You can never quite get free of the power line, so you could go out wide open flying or something like that. It's this idea we're doing all this stuff. So why wouldn't we feel frustrated when we have an imbalance? Because look at what they do to treat emotional and psychological problems. They give you medications, right,
Yeah.
that mess with your gut with your gut biome. And I've had to take antidepressants and stuff like for my PTSD, and they made me feel really sick, right? And a lot of those medications work on moderating what goes on in your gut, because what your gut gives off is what drives a lot of things in your head. Most people don't know. Are you familiar with the enteric nervous system?
I'm not.
Well, get your Googler out. The enteric nervous system is in your gut. Did you have as many cells, brain type cells
I
in
know
your
that.
gut as a cat has in its brain?
Right. And I thought that was the autonomic nervous system that did that.
Well, the enteric, autonomic, and sympathetic mean different things. Okay,
Okay.
some things are on autonomic, some are sympathetic, but this is a complete different, like a brain in your gut. Have you ever thought people who are quadriplegics have no problem with their digestive tract,
Yeah. Right.
right? It's
And they
because
can
it's
breathe.
redundant. It's this redundant system.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, the point is that's how they treat a lot of mental illnesses. I wish another one of the people comes in here, Lucia was here because she knows a lot about that. But so if it's feasible for them to pump chemicals into your body to help your mind by moderating what goes on in your gut, right? Or that it also impacts your gut. Then when we moderate our gut through our dietary habits, we too are moderating the genetic responses to the chemicals in our digestive system. So when people talk about brain fog going away, it very well could be because we've mitigated a cascade of events because our gut biome is changing,
Right.
not just the ketones from a ketogenic diet that we inevitably become. Matter of fact, Dr. Stephen Finney, who's really been a big proponent, he's a PhD doctor, not just a medical doctor, but a PhD medical doctor.
Yeah.
He actually redefined when you're in ketosis. He used to believe you weren't in ketosis unless you had a 0.5 measurement. But
Really.
now they've redefined it that if you have any measurement of ketones, you're in a ketogenic state.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, so you're not necessarily in a high ketone state.
Right.
I can drive myself because I've been pretty much low carb for well over 3 years. I can drive my ketones through the roof by just putting some MCT oil in my coffee.
Right. Right.
Just a tablespoon. And then that kickstarts the system, right? My body, oh, we're doing this now. So I'm flex fuel system.
Yeah.
And you could do that. And if you want to, you could use coconut oil. So I'm telling you that, Chuck, right? You could actually even just go buy coconut oil if you don't want to buy the expensive MCT. But yeah, you can really kick off if you would talk because you wanted to raise your ketones earlier, Chuck. That's what I was thinking about.
Well, my whole thought process behind that was I don't think I've been in a ketosis state as far as I know. Every time I checked, I haven't been, and my blood sugar is always kind of high up there.
Blood sugar does not mean you're not in ketosis.
Because like my thought is, okay, if I can get into ketosis, I can start to burn fat, which will allow me to lose some more weight and everything, and feel better, move the whole process along. But then again, I could just be like,
do you ever
rushing things when I don't
wake up with really bad breath and a film on the roof of your mouth?
Nah, not really. I don't know.
Okay, that's
I'd
called.
have to ask my wife about that one.
Well, you'll know it if it happens to you. That's called keto breath when you're burning, when you're in really deep into ketosis. All like 97% of the mass that leaves your body of weight comes out of your mouth. You breathe it out in gas, and it'll leave a terrible film on the roof of your mouth that's gross, and it gives
The
you.
only thing I notice in the morning is the smell of the urine. It smells like eggs or something funny, like really, really, really strong. Like,
And it smells like nail polish remover because ketones are part of the benzene family. So, that's what, if you got a wife, she got nail polish remover, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah, get a little nail polish remover on a Q-tip, just a little bit. Wave it about 2 or 3 feet from your nose, right? Just get a gentle aromatic of it. In the morning when you relieve and void, right? If you can have that smell, you'll know you're burning ketones. That's an absolute thing. And actually what's happening is when you start burning ketones, now this is probably not Dr. Barry or Dr. Boz or anybody, but this is Scotty, okay? When you start to get into ketosis, your body's going, whoa, 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 what's up with this? I got this new energy. I'm liking this new energy. After a little bit of time, your body adapts to burning it, and you'll actually secrete less of it because your body's burning more of it. But when you first...
That smell is in your pee too, then?
Oh, yeah.
That makes so much sense. I didn't know that because I'm like, every morning when I pee, I'm like, why does that smell like my breath?
Well, hold on. Okay, that's a little TMI. But
that same funky nail polish smell that's in my breath. It's when I pee, it does the same thing. I'm like, what is that?
Okay, so see, the whole idea is that's why they have those ketone strips, right?
Right.
All you have to do is go to Walmart. You can buy them cheap. Bottle of 50 for $1.280, right? You go, yep, it's purple. I'm in ketosis. Oh, it's purple.
When you're 700 pounds, that's not so easy. I pee on my thumb more than I pee on the stick.
I feel you there.
Okay. But that's why I train my nose. That's why you train your nose, right?
Right.
But that's what happens. And so, but the thing is, I remember when I was like devout. I'm down for the struggle, brother, on the getting into ketosis, right? And all of a sudden I started noticing my ketones weren't as prolific. Instead of looking like the purple on the screen, I'm looking more like the not purple on the screen, right? And then I realized my body's using them. There's less, remember your urea cycle, all that stuff. If your body's utilizing it, there's not as much going out.
Yeah, well, I can even speak onto that because did I tell you I'm doing the priming protocol from the steak and butter game? Yeah, so this is my fourth day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, third day doing that. But that was one thing I was seeing too, and that was something that came up was my ketone levels were going down, but it was because I'm finally so active, I'm actually using more of it.
Right. So the whole thing is we have to be, we would be well served to try to gather knowledge, to listen to some other people, to go out there and listen to some of the brilliant minds out there. Truly, the Bart Kays, Dr. Stephen Finney, Dom D'Agostino, if you can get to those. Some of the things from the keto down under, the keto Breckenridge, stuff like that. There are a number of things, but the whole idea about it is we want to be metabolically flexible. So I think you've mentioned it, Todd, and Chuck, you heard it in the previous live that we were in. changing things up sometimes. Remember, our body wants to be balanced. And when we're balanced, the body's like, I'm happy. I'm happy being fat and balanced. I'm happy being sick and balanced. I just need to be balanced. So we introduce stressors in our lives, and our body's okay, I'm going to adapt, I want to do it. But that's not what it wants to do. And so the more we do to keep our body wondering what the Sam Hill we're doing, right? The more your body said, look, I got to get rid of all this extra stuff. I can't deal with this. So shed the weight, burn the weight, do all these things. I don't want you to hold. Because remember, cortisol, fight or flight. Most of us are not fighters. I don't care what most people think. You're not the fighter you think you are. You're more into saving. You're more into protectionism. Your muscles to hold are stronger than your muscles to push, right? So the whole idea, we're not really fighters. We're lovers, okay? So we need to understand this when we go into it. Now, I'll give just for Laura, who came up with that great little this conversation going down the toilet. Everybody understands what diabetes type 2 diabetes mellitus is, right? Do you understand what the Greek word of that means? Sweet pea. That's how they knew way back when you had diabetes, because your pee would be sweet, because your body could not handle metabolizing it, and your body would start to secrete it, and that's what would ruin your kidneys. Right. Anyway, FYI, somebody had to know what sweet pea was. Just saying. I'm thankful for technology. Amen. Can I get an amen?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's great. Can you pull that comment up? They had a question, it looked like.
Okay, let me go. Comment. Which one?
Bypass carnivore.
Okay, hang on. There you go. Thank you.
Perfect. The protocol is the same for men and women, or does it vary? No, I think it is the same for men and women. They seem to CrossFit was the name of that workout that I was trying to say the other day. So basically they utilize kind of like how CrossFit is always confusing your body and doing a different muscle group, but to keep everything from falling into just the same pattern, So they do that with feeding, basically. And so it starts out, I think, with 3 meals a day for a week, and you have to eat each meal until you're comfortably full. And then it goes to 2 meals a day for a week until you're comfortably full. And then it goes 2 meals every other day. So you fast a full day. And then it goes back to OMAD, 1 meal a day. And then it goes to OMAD every other day and you skip a day. And then after you do that for a week, it goes back to 3 meals a day, and they just keep changing it up over and over. And I can tell you this, I'm finally getting used to eating this. I'm eating a massive amount of food right now, and it's been so uncomfortable. But I'm eating 36 eggs a day now. And so I eat 12 eggs and a pound of steak per meal, and I've been doing that 3 times a day, and I'm stuffed to the gills right now. I'm looking at a bowl of 12 eggs and meat, and I don't know how I'm going to get it down before tonight, but I can tell you this, that through that, my energy has gone through the roof. And my mental clarity and like mental stamina is so much better right now. So it's definitely working. I'm really looking forward to the fasting side of things, though, because I need a break from this food.
You see, Todd, when I hear people on that regimen or whatever, that they're doing that, and they say that, and I'm thinking, okay, oh my gosh, I'm like overeating, and I'm overdoing it with my 5 eggs and 4 pieces of sausage, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm way overeating, I'm overdoing it. And then I hear of people doing that, and I'm thinking, well, shoot, am I overeating or am I undereating? Because I mean,
the question, honestly, the answer could be
purposely eat thousands of calories a day and lose weight like crazy.
Yeah, and it's real, and it's so counterintuitive, right? Because you're sitting here going, no way. I mean, also, what I'm also eating with each one of these meals is 2 ounces of pure butter that I eat cold. Just take spoonfuls of it, and that makes my energy go through the roof right now. But I know what you're saying. I went from eating 17 to 2,100 calories a day, and now I'm eating 5,500 calories a day of pure protein and fat, right? Seems crazy I have more energy, and I'm gonna lose. I guarantee I'm gonna lose weight because I can feel my metabolism rising right now. I'm no longer tired. I'm no longer, I was just burning out before. I was getting slowly. I was losing mental stamina. I couldn't focus as good. I was sleeping worse, and I was waking up more tired. And I'm like, this isn't normal. And it was because I did OMAD for 11 solid months, and I was under eating, and it finally caught up with me. So I guarantee you this works, but I know exactly what you're saying because I was sitting there before, worried about eating 3,000 calories a day. But if you want to know the craziest example of that, look at Bella, the steak and butter gal. She's a tiny girl, and she was eating like 6 to 7 pounds of meat a day and eating full sticks of butter for like 7 months. And she
And
looks
do you
like,
know what her triglyceride number was?
I never did hear that. Was it crazy?
15. Dr. Oveda said he's never heard of a patient having it. That's kind of her steady thing. I eat about a stick to a stick and a half of butter every day. And my cholesterol is so good, right?
Well, did you ever? So there's that engineer that started studying cholesterol. Do you know that guy?
Yeah. The Irish guy.
Uh, is, is he Irish? He might be. I think his name's like, gosh, I wish I remember his name because I brought this up in Dr. Kiltz's live stream the other day, and he thought I was crazy. But this engineer did a incredible deep dive
I'll
into.
get his name in a minute. I know
Yeah,
what you're talking about.
yeah, and it was the most incredible thing. And what he found was that if you want to spike your cholesterol numbers, just go ahead and don't eat any fat because your body makes cholesterol when you don't have animal fat. So your cholesterol numbers are going to rise when you're not eating dietary animal fat. When you eat dietary animal fat, your body has no need to build the cholesterol. And what do they do before you get a blood test? They make you fast.
Right.
So you don't have any animal fat in. So it pumps up these fake cholesterol numbers just so they could put you on cholesterol medication. So he went and he tested it with him and several people, and he would go in fasted and his cholesterol numbers would be high. He would eat bacon and beef before he went in and then get it tested, and his cholesterol numbers were low the next day. You know what I mean?
Makes you wonder if they should have a different test just for cholesterol and not count that in to the fast test.
Well, if they did that, then they wouldn't get to sell so many drugs, now would they? So I don't think, I don't think it's an accident. I think they know full well what they're doing. They want to sell them damn pills.
Yeah, and I'm looking it up because I've watched a lot of his thing. He's really big in the low carb, and he worked with a guy from Scotland or Ireland who's a billionaire.
Yeah, he's amazing too.
And they put this whole movie together, which is kind of sort of like what Carrie's trying to do at Homestead How.
Yep.
And this guy, he interviews all these people. He's an engineer.
Yeah, which is, and everybody discount him because he's an engineer, but he's done more studies and research that, really diving into all the nuances of it that, I think he's going to have probably the most accurate body of work on cholesterol here in another couple of years,
Well, yeah, he is absolutely amazing. And I got him almost. Ivor Cummings.
Yes, that is him. Thank God. I've been trying to think his name for 2 days.
Right. Yep. Ivor Cummings. And so he's a process engineer and he knows how to go through and find. So he's a really smart, and he's not blinded by medicine. And he got in with the billionaire Ivor did. And anyway, the point is, I agree with what you said there, Todd, about your body's going to make. 70% of your brain is cholesterol. You store it. Did you know that butter and your body's cholesterol and butter are very, very close in almost every aspect? So if you hold a stick of butter, and you had a stick of fat, adipose, subcutaneous fat, it'd be about the same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So he has all that good information. I have watched hours of that man talk.
Yeah. I remember this was when I was on keto. I watched him like 2 years ago, but it was a fantastic study, and it just made so much sense to me because I think him or somebody during that conversation, he said blaming cholesterol for plugged arteries and heart disease is like
blaming
blaming
cops for accidents, or firemen for fires.
because they're on the scene. They have so that's just association. They are not the cause. They are the response team to try to heal those arteries.
And what causes the arteries to be injured?
Well, I think it's inflammation.
But okay, let's get a little more specific, Mr. Engineer. It's the very low density or the very high density lipoproteins that are present in the standard American diet. So if you get a gash in the drywall in your house, how do you repair the drywall?
Right? You're going to go mud it up and patch it with mud.
What is spackling made of?
Right. Well, it's made of whatever. It's made of drywall and or whatever you call that stuff.
The mineral calcium.
Yeah.
And the flow agent, the suffocant, the flow agent is cholesterol. Your body takes calcium, mixes it with cholesterol, and patches the tear, the microscopic tears, right? The inflammation, right? So when they do a CAC test, a coronary artery calcium scoring test, right? They're measuring the same stuff that your bones are made out of. Hard calcium. Now, it doesn't do the soft plaque. I've heard it all before. But all the fat I eat, all my CAC is zero.
Right. Yep, I agree. And I eat a ton of fat and butter. And the last time I had a blood test, I had Dr. Jason Fung. So I'm lucky enough that I have a doctor in my town that studied under him. And I went to see him when I was like 650 pounds and told him what I was doing, and he was ecstatic. He's the one that put me on testosterone replacement therapy, though. But he had me get an extensive blood test, and he goes, "You are like the poster child for a low carb diet." He goes, "You are huge, but your numbers are perfect on this diet." He said, "Your cholesterol numbers, everything was just perfect."
I think that Dr. Fong has probably done as much for this space than Dr. Chafee and Dr. Berry, but Dr. Fong was in very early, and he approached it from a completely different vector, Victor, and so he could have a different in the hallway of heroes. He should have his bust put in there for. He's the one who made me realize, stop putting junk in your pie hole.
Right. Yeah, and he was the one that made me realize that I wasn't losing weight because I was insulin resistant, and also why I would always hit a plateau was my fasted insulin set point was so high, and that I had to implement fasting. And fasting was another thing. That's why I went OMAD, was because of Dr. Jason Fung. That's exactly why I went OMAD, and I don't know what one made the most different, but whatever that combination of carnivore, OMAD, and electrolytes, which was Dr. Berg. I know a lot of people in the carnivore community don't like Dr. Berg, but I think he's really good, And, Ken Berry and Jason Fung. Those were the three that basically crafted what I ended up doing, and it worked. So I can't.
The first two people that I've heard of, because I know it's not hard to believe for us in the community, but I had never heard any one of my doctors ever say anything about insulin resistance. Not once.
Nope.
If they would have explained it to me how some of these YouTubers explain it, I would have been like, "Oh, well, wow, okay, let's get going, let's get this started," and I would have made the change right then and there. But
exactly,
it wasn't until I heard a health coach YouTuber named by the name Health Coach Kate talk about it in one of her videos, and then that led me to Dr. Ben Bickman giving a speech on it, and I was like, wow, okay. And then that led me to Keto Connect, and then it just kept unraveling. Jason Fung, Dr. Berry, all these other people, it just like all this wealth of knowledge just exploded, and I've never heard any doctor in my life talk about any of this.
No,
Dr. Bickman is a treasure beyond measure, because he'll tell you, I'm not a medical doctor, but there's not too many people I can count on Well, that hand, because I don't have all of that one. I can count on this hand the number of people who might know much about lipids as he does.
Mhm.
Right.
Right. So,
Right.
we are definitely. And oh, by the way, we have a great little family reunion going on in comments. Wir sprechen ein bisschen Deutsch now. We got a lot of people get going with Yami and then with everybody. So that's great. But yeah, I tell you though, Todd, you are again a textbook case here too. We do need to remember, just because we found something that works for us today doesn't mean that should be the only thing we do every day. We've got to do, we've got to keep the body kind of guessing, because
Absolutely.
really, in all honesty, our bodies operate best in that situation.
Yeah, you have to have stressors. You have to have stressors that are outside of your environment or your environmental norm. And that's why I can't wait till I get down on, enough in size that I can fit in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. But one of the most amazing things that hyperbaric oxygen chambers do
It causes
is
the body to be under stress.
right, because when you get out of the chamber, that's when the other half of the benefit, yeah, because all those gases leave your cells, and it immediately puts your body into a stressor, and your body pumps out growth hormones and stem cells, and it's like autophagy on steroids at that point. And it's the stressor from the atmosphere leaving your cells so quickly that causes this massive stressor. So it's as important the atmosphere change when you get out as it is when you go in. It's incredible.
Well, I just think that we all are in such a wonderful time and space with all of the things that we have available, and the tools, the information. I mean, this would have been really hard to do 25 years ago, because
Impossible.
the doctors, and I want to be real careful. We don't want to get into bashing doctors here. I mean, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it, right? And
Right.
the demands placed on them are incredible. The malpractice that they face, and all. So what we need to do is to say, given that they're in the situation they're in, I think most of them are trying to do the very best they can. I also believe that there is an inherent and incumbent responsibility on the part of the patient to learn more about themselves and what they're going through. I mean, I think I always equate to my daughter. I love my daughter. Don't ever get me wrong. But she would come to me and she said, "Dad, I don't feel good. Where does it hurt? My stomach. Okay, where's that?" It could be anywhere from right about here to her kneecaps.
Right.
Right? And I said, okay, can we narrow it down to a limb or an area? And we'd have to work on this stuff. And it was always, well, doctors go through the same thing. I go to the doc. What's that? Well, unless you went to Google Doc, and then you're really driving them crazy. You try to tell them things. It's like going to an auto mechanic and telling an auto mechanic, "Hey, I hear a noise in the rear end. I think my differential is having a problem." Well, you're right. Your differential is having a problem. Now, it may just be that your jack is loose, but we're going
Right.
to get you a whole new differential, right?
Right.
Let doctors do diagnostics, answer the questions honestly, and take care of yourself. I mean, doctors are so frustrated. When I worked in an army hospital, all these people having problems with type 2 diabetes, right? But they're not giving up them pizzas and them
Right.
donuts and those fruit drinks, right? Or their
Right.
alcohol. It's like,
Can't help you.
how frustrated would you be if you went to work every day, and every day you went into work, someone taking your keyboard, rearranged all the keys on it, had hid your monitor, right?
Right.
And
Totally.
wouldn't give you your time card or your paycheck.
Right.
I'd be out of the business.
Oh, for sure. No, and I get that too, for sure. You know, they are fighting an uphill battle, and they've been kind of indoctrinated with, in my opinion, bad information, on diet specifically. We have the greatest doctors in the world when it comes to trauma. I mean, just incredible what they can do. It's just, I think that the drug companies have such a strong hold on what gets published in those medical schools that they are purposely holding back the information that they know would help people. And that's what I find most irritating.
Well,
We got another question from Bypass Carnivore.
okay, let me get down here because I'm trying to go back into other things. People being so nice. Okay, what kind of doctor do you go to get a chance to go to a hyperbaric chamber? Is there a certain diagnostics you need? I think you just need cash.
Yeah, they're $17,500 with the concentrator. You can order one, they'll go up to 1.3 atmospheres, which is enough to cause basically that stressor. So what it does is at 1.3 atmospheres, it'll pump oxygen. Not so right now at the atmosphere that we're sitting at, your red blood cells carry oxygen, and or your blood platelets carry oxygen. But when you get at 1.3 atmospheres, your blood plasma actually carries oxygen too. So you get hyperoxygenated blood, and it pushes deeper into the tissue, and so you'll create new capillaries into the deep tissue, and you'll start growing them, and you'll, basically bring in new oxygen pathways to tissue that really doesn't get much, especially when you're like my size, to tissue that does not get a lot of oxygen. And so you sit in there for about 90 minutes at 1.3 atmospheres. But then when you get out and all that oxygen, those gases leave your cells, you get a whole new response, which puts you into like immediate autophagy on steroids, basically.
I know the only thing I know about the hyperbaric chamber is back when my mom had cancer and she was going through her rounds of chemotherapy. They'd like once or so many times a week, they'd put her in a hyperbaric chamber because I know like when you're going through the chemotherapy, it makes it so nothing heals or your body don't heal like it normally does. So you need that extra oxygen or whatever to kind of boost your healing power.
Yep. Totally. Yeah, because one, the oxygen helps you heal, but also when you get out of it, again, you get like a 600 or 800% boost in stem cells, which help you heal, and growth hormones. So it's really good. Oxygen chambers, one of the best things they do is promote, new tissue.
So we have a question. What is hyperbaric?
So hyperbaric oxygen is basically when you get to a pressure chamber that raises the atmospheric pressure to, like I said, it's 1.3 times the atmospheric pressure that it is right now. And so it pushes the oxygen in your cells, and it allows your blood plasma to hold oxygen and carry oxygen as well. So it's just a higher pressure, air pressure.
I think it was, I can't remember who the Christian guy was. I'm pretty sure it was Ken Hovick.
Okay, or Dr. Carl Baugh talks about it too.
But there was a theory that back like in the biblical times, before the dome broke, it was like a hyperbaric chamber, and that's why like maybe the dinosaurs were, and all the animals and plants and everything were so much bigger.
Yep, you're talking. That's actually Dr. Carl Baugh. He's awesome. And you know how they figured that out? They found they found air bubbles
with that enriched oxygen in it, like it's like 300% more or something crazy like that.
Yeah, it was I think it was only like a 1.7, basically 1.7 times what it is now. But what was crazy, they could even measure the pressure because they found bubbles and fossilized tree sap from like 6,000 years ago. And the theory was that during the flood, that there was an firmament around the earth, right? And that firmament was supposed to be made out of pure gold, which if you know anything about astrology astrology now, when they look at stars, they look through a pink lens, and that shows you the real colors of the stars, the light frequencies. So that was supposed to be pure pink lens, gold, transparent gold, and it was holding the pressure in. And supposedly during the flood, when the geyser came up and created like the Grand Canyon, it shattered the firmament and it came crashing down, and we lost our pressure. But yeah, they mimicked like that air pressure in tanks and grew fish in them with that kind of pressure and that kind of oxygen. They grew huge.
So also, just so we understand, the chambers are used and were developed a lot because of early scuba divers ending up with the bends.
Right.
So they would go down real deep. They'd stay too long, and it's very painful getting the bends because you'd end up with the carbon monoxide and stuff like that trying to come out through the joints. It'd make gout look like a picnic, right? So they developed these hyperbaric chambers to put the divers in and bring them up slowly so the gases wouldn't boil off out of their bodies too quickly. They went from very high pressure to low pressure too quick. And so they also use hyperbaric chambers for pilots after certain missions. But here's another thing, though. If you read into Dr. Dom D'Agostino, right, who developed ketone esters. They taste horrible, right? But they use these because Dom is one of the very few Argonauts. He spent enough time underwater to be an Argonaut, not an astronaut, but an Argonaut, an underwater guy, right? Well, anyway, he developed a way for the special forces units when they go for a dive and they're going to go do what they do, like Navy SEALs and stuff like that. They put a oxygen regeneration equipment on so they can keep breathing, but then you end up getting oxygen poisoning, right? So you can only dive so deep for so long before you go over a threshold. And so they're called dive tables, and they're very well established. Turns out that when a person's in a full ketogenic state, they can dive a lot deeper and stay a lot longer. So they've actually developed the ketones. I think he's out of University of Florida mainly.
Yeah.
And he helped design in the university a very nasty tasting ketone ester that a person can take and in 2 hours be in full ketosis from no ketosis, standard American type diet, to full ketosis and get those. So there is some tremendous potent things going on when you start dealing with chemistry and pressures. And, when you think of Bayes-Ballard's laws and all the things in chemistry, pressure, the way they make, the sugar, the really bad sugar, now I'm not going to lose it because what's in Coke?
Or are you talking about cane sugar?
Aspartame?
No, the fake sugar, the corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
High fructose corn syrup. A lot of those things are all made using lots of chemicals and pressure, a lot of heat. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's amazing when you start messing with this stuff. But obviously, not everybody's going to have a hyperbaric chamber available. But it would be nice. Someone said, would it be nice if we could get one once a month, right?
It
Yep.
would be really nice. Just have that like a workout room that you can go in and work out in the hyperbaric chamber.
That's my plan. It's going to take for a while. Well, here's another thing that's really handy that I'm going to do when I start exercising. It's called EWOT, exercise with oxygen therapy. And what they do is they take a bladder. It's a 900-liter bladder, and you use an oxygen concentrator, and it fills the bladder with 900 liters of 99.7% oxygen. And it fills this bladder up, and then it comes with like a 1-inch hose on a face mask, and it's got an inlet and an outlet. So you put this face mask on, and then you run on the treadmill for 10 minutes, and you breathe in 900 liters of pure oxygen, and then it's got a gate valve, so your exhale air goes out and just the oxygen comes in. And that's like a cheaper way to hyperoxygenate your cells, and it is curing ridiculous diseases with just that exercise with oxygen therapy. It's incredible. And so that's my first, because it's a little bit
smoking allowed though, right?
No smoking allowed. You wouldn't get to do it more than once, but you could probably do it once.
Trick I can only do one time.
Yeah, well, it's a one-time use smoking, but you do that. And that's actually not so bad because you can buy the setup for like $1,200 if you plus an oxygen concentrator, which is like $600. It just takes forever. But there's a guy where actually, if you just buy the masks, I watched this guy and it was pretty ingenious of him because I tried to order one already and there was such a backlog on them that they said they couldn't fulfill my order and they canceled my order. But then this guy on YouTube shows a video where he went and got a waterproof mattress protector that zipped up all the way around the mattress, and he hung it up off his rafters, and he siliconed the zipper, and he used a PVC fitting, and all he had to buy was like the $110 mask. And he used a CPAP fitting to pump oxygen into the to the to the mattress protector, and he just bought this fitting that that fit this mask, and he bought this special mask that's for the EWAT system with the gate valve on it, and he did it for like, because he already had an oxygen concentrator, but so you could actually do it for like $400 if you wanted to.
Again, you got to be real careful with some of this DIY stuff because a spurious spark, and you can have the Hindenburg happen in your house.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you want to. So if it was me, I would ground it so that you couldn't have any static electrical sparks, and that would be pretty safe. But yeah, you don't want to. It's just like working with any of that stuff. If you work with any kind of gases like that, you just got to be super careful.
Well, all this being great, and I'm loving this conversation, but I've been on for 2 hours and 25 minutes. My VA doc sent me an email saying, hey, come in tomorrow. We'll do some more blood work to figure out some things going on. And see, it is 11:51. So I think I'm going to pull the plug on this, much as it hurts my heart, because we have such a great time here. I really got to say thank you, Chuck, for taking the risk and grabbing the link and coming on. Todd, you've been here before. I appreciate you coming and supporting, and especially all our friends in the chat. You guys you're the bees and knees. I'm sorry. You guys are just awesome. And I just absolutely adore being able to come into here and create this environment where we can go. We've got German going on. We've got church going on. We've got so many great things on. We've got medical lessons going on. Again, just to make sure we're clear, no one here is a doctor. None of this is medical advice. But you know what? One thing we have.
TV.
What's that?
I said I don't even play one on TV.
Yeah, there you go.
It might be anecdotal, but everything important, all advice or, research started at anecdotal,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think the one thing we have that no doctor can write a prescription for is caring, loving, compassionate people. And I think that will always carry the day. And we are so blessed. So Todd, I'm gonna give you a minute. What you got to say? Closing.
I got to say, just keep it going and keep doing the elimination things until you find what works for you. But this diet is not a diet. It's not a fad. It is the cure. That's why I called my channel the Carnivore Cure. This is not like all the ones that failed you before. Just keep at it, and it'll work for you.
Chuck.
Yep, I would agree. No matter if you're doing carnivore, if you're doing keto, or somewhere in between, it's all ketogenic. This is all good. It's 100 times better than any way we were eating before. And just don't be afraid to give it a shot. I mean, at worst you're gonna feel better.
Yeah. What do you have to lose?
You're gonna feel better. Plus, cure a bunch of things you had wrong with the end, lose a ton of weight. So, I mean, there's no bad end to this, really.
All right. Well, you all take care. Guten Nacht, schlaf gut. Or for you going in today, go have a guten Tag. Everybody else, we'll see you back next week. So this Thursday night, I may come on, but it's not scheduled. But Monday through Thursdays, 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'll come out here, spend a couple hours, and we'll chat about what we want to.
Notice nobody really does weekends. It seems like on the weekends when I can stay up as late as I want to and not do anything, everyone's like, nobody's on and everything. So maybe I'd have to start jumping on and creating some lives for the weekend or something, because there's a lot of times where some people are on here chatting and stuff, and there's just nothing going on Friday.
Well, there are some Sunday shows now showing up. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So Todd has one with Lindy. So
yeah.
Nice. But the thing is, I think there's enough room for all of us. And I really appreciate you, Chuck. I'll be looking forward to next week hearing about your plan to move off the soda. And Todd, I'll really be looking forward to you saying that my last can was the day before yesterday.
For sure. I have, let's see, 1.5, 1 3/4 can. Yeah, that'll be mid next week. They'll be gone. So
That's right. All right. God bless you all. Take care.
Take it easy, everybody.
Bye bye.
Howdy.